It is week 2 of PFR and Lakeshore PBS. Tonight we'll recap last week. We'll again talk more about the beating that Valpo gave Penn.
Boy, that's great, isn't it? That is fantastic. And there were some other nice victories.
I just want to say quickly, folks were asking me all week, where were the Valpo highlights? Hey, we knew they were going to kill Penn. We couldn't send a camera out there.
That's right.
We had to try for some competitive games. All right, we'll have much more, including a big show tonight on PFR.
From the perfect flip to the perfect pass, we power Northern Indiana so you can do what moves you.
All right, week 2, PFR, Lakeshore PBS. Let's go take a look back. If you missed scoreboard last Friday night, missed some of the highlights, we will have a video recap. What stands out from last week for you, Wayne?
I think that really the top 3 or 4 teams kind of separated last
I think so.
You know, now again, coaches always say that second week is really the big curve for learning and stuff. But boy, there are a couple of teams out there that are going to be good.
Looks like Maryville, Michigan City, Valpo, maybe at the head of the class right now.
Right, and Lowell. I was shocked with Lowell.
I'm still not sold on Lowell.
Well, okay, but I thought that Crown Point had the momentum coming in. I thought Pettit had.
Yeah, I'll give you that. They probably did.
And Pettit, is a year older and he played better. But boy, who is this Stevanovic kid?
But that snap on the second touchdown came back to haunt him.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right.
All right, let's take a week back at week 1 with PFR Rewind. Alrighty, there's a video recap of week 1 of the high school football season, and some good-looking highlights. Lowell throwing the ball.
Yeah, where'd that come from?
That was big. All right, we'll move into our players of the week. We start with offense.
Maryville really showed me something last week. Boy, the two-headed quarterback situation with Whitehead and Rodriguez, really, both of those guys are really good.
Yeah, you could see the experience they got from last year playing a lot on the varsity level, and then you surround them with those wide receivers.
Oh, yeah.
Howard and Glass. I mean,
woo! I agree.
They have some weapons, and that big offensive line.
That's right.
So,
that's right. Lewis is opening up holes.
Higher maybe expectations or some upside for Maryville maybe this year.
Tyler Fueling is back for Hanover Central. 4 TDs versus Chicago. Now, I'm not real sure, but I don't know if Driscoll got hurt in that particular
No,
game.
he's been hurt.
He's
the,
been
under,
hurt.
the underground
Okay.
reported last Friday that he's been hurt. Might be out 2 or 3 weeks.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Tyler Freeling, another big night, and 4 TDs. Hanover and Andrean tomorrow night. And Chris Mullen, a sophomore who came up his freshman year, played in some of those last games. He engineered a comeback against Hobart last week. 294 yards and 3 TDs for him for Chesterton. Defensive players of the week.
Christian Reyes from Highland really had a good game for Highland. He had a 35-yard fumble recovery TD against Morton, but he also had some yards on the ground and ran the ball very well. And Zach Williamson from Whiting, he had an interception, but he also had 2 TD runs, 138 yards versus Clark.
Well, and this might end up being the Cooper Jones Award as the season moves on, because I think he had 3 sacks possibly and a punt block. So he had a big start for Valpo, who was very impressive.
You know, I got to get on Twitter or something because I didn't. There were no stats for him.
They replaced their linebackers.
Really?
They lost their linebackers, the Bukers, but they've replaced them.
Yeah.
Linebackers looked good in the first matchup, and they replaced those running backs as well. And the early reports are that their offensive line looks outstanding.
Good.
So.
That's great.
All right, Kadarius Jones, who's a big-time player for City, had a 54-yard punt return.
And,
Liam Shepard.
Liam Shepard for Valparaiso had 2 kicks, 34 and 24 yards versus Penn. Jordan Pinkins had 2, a 129 and 127-yard kick for.
The Morton fans were not happy after a scoreboard because they lost Cordell Prather during the first quarter of the game for the rest of the game. So and he might not be back on offense for a few weeks because the underground thinks he's going to be out for about 4 or 5 weeks on offense at least.
And you said that they were not real happy after the scoreboard, so I can't tackle anybody. I'm too slow. Why would they be angry?
They thought that losing Cordell was the reason why they lost to Highland. So I guess we didn't mention that enough that he was out, which we didn't know how early he was injured.
That's right.
We had the video of him walking off the field. But all right, and the most important award is the Players of the Week on the unknown side. And Cameron Stojanovic, for Lowell, we saw him throwing the football. He had a big opener with 3 TD passes. He is the Hobart transfer. Jonathan Flemings, Michigan City, never heard of him.
Yep, 4 TDs, and they're all under, I think, 5 or 6 yards, but he's just a bull back in the backfield. Matt Kriesbaum from Lake Central, 183 yards and 2 TDs. Outstanding.
I think that's big. I mean, that game was close early.
Yes.
But we'll see if LC can continue to get some momentum going. Obviously, with Prather out this week, that could be big in their matchup with Lake Central. Although, obviously, they've had a week to practice without him playing offense. So, all right. How about the Little Five for this week?
All right, we've got Knox at number 5, Hanover Central, Calumet. Oh, they had a nice win.
Yes.
Calumet. That was a check mark.
Marion Catholic this week, I think.
Yes, Mount Carmel.
Mount Carmel, I'm sorry.
Rensselaer and Whiting all won this week.
It's always difficult the first 2-3 weeks of the season to get a gauge. One week does not get you a good gauge of the teams.
That's right.
But I think Calumet's established themselves a little bit where they had players coming back. They had their coach continuity. So I think, we'll see if Calumet can improve on the really good season they had last year. All right, how about the big poll?
Top 10.
The PFR top 10 for this week.
Boone Grove moved
Boone
up
Grove in
from
the big poll.
Yeah, in the big poll, they won 42-21 over Glen, who's a very good team. And I know that Brayton Van had a big game. Hobart, they did lose, but they were close
Very
until that second half.
yeah.
and Portage. I mean, Portage played Mishawaka, and they played them well for a while.
We'll find out a lot about Portage
Yes.
tomorrow night because, of course, they beat Lowell a year ago. We'll see how they compete. Their offense got off to a slow start last week. They scored a lot late, so we'll see how they match up with Lowell tomorrow night.
Yeah, they got a good quarterback coming back there. Crown Point also was defeated last week, and I think that that was a good test for them. I'm sure in that week two gap that they're going to improve on some things, snaps, and
that was definitely a winnable game for
yeah,
Crown Point last
yeah,
week.
it was. Chesterton, nice rebound in the second half for them. New Prairie really played well against LaPorte.
Really good. Lowell 1-0 after that win, and the air attack looked good.
Yeah. Maryville really looked good. I mean, I was impressed with them.
Big time schedule upgrade for Michigan City. They got Warsaw.
Yes.
And they got a heck of a coach. And I think Michigan City's going to be a very competitive game possibly this week.
I think so. Michigan City had their way with Griffith, but Griffith lost a lot. They were very young. This week is going to be tougher for Michigan City.
All right, and the number one team in the poll, they looked really good on opening night. Valpo replaced some key parts and we got off to a great start with the big win over Penn.
Yeah, and you got to give C.J. Opperman some props here. He really ran the offense very well. But like you said earlier, that offensive line is big and they can move people. When you got Cooper Jones on defense.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good formula for success. All right, don't forget, tomorrow night, 6 o'clock for Wayne and Tommy and the gang on 89.1 FM, the Lakeshore for Lakeshore Game Night. And then live here on PFR Scoreboard on Lakeshore PBS at 10:30 for week 2 of PFR Scoreboard. Do we have a Throwback Thursday? I believe
yes,
we do. It's that time for Throwback Thursday. We're going back to 2015. The Red Devils of Lowell were 8-0 on the season. Munster came in at 4-4. Game went head-to-head. Some big moves coming in the third quarter. A 97-yard kickoff return by the Red Devils helped them take command in this one. Munster had a 72-yard catch from wide receiver Dimitri Fotopoulos from Vince Bravo. Remember him?
Mm-hmm,
who had 203 yards, combined yards, and it was number 32. We saw him early on there. Number 32, Isaac James of the Red Devils, who rushed for 148 yards in this ball game. Andrew Jumonville from Munster had a nice game throwing the football as well. Lowell hung on the squeaker, continuing to move their record to 9-0, beating the Mustangs by the score of 20-17. All right. Hobart and Maryville, the game of the week. Why? Because this was a great rivalry back in the day, and great for both schools to get back together and renew this rivalry. Should be a beautiful, cool night at Demery Stadium. They should have a great crowd. I got some big reviews from Maryville for the band was outstanding. The fans were very loud.
Wow.
I believe I saw where the coaches and the players were a little surprised by how loud the crowd was on Friday night. So great atmosphere at Demery Stadium. Hopefully some of the Brick fans will come out as well, and they'll have a great atmosphere tomorrow night.
You and I, both Maryville graduates, can remember the day when this was a huge, huge rivalry between the two. Now, maybe today's kids don't have that same concept, but this was a big game, and anytime you have a rivalry like this, it's good to get back together and let them play this.
I can remember many a night when Coach Howell and Coach Kerr smacked the Pirates around and the Brickies, and it was a big deal if Maryville would beat Hobart back in those days. All right, T-Dub was out in search of the renewal of the rivalry, and he's got this report.
Introducing Goliath, The Merrillville Pirates, featuring the size of both small college football teams and the speed of a track team, crushed Andrian last week and are looking for their first 2-0 start since 2007. Okay, Coach, let's talk about the size of your football team. One coach said he had never seen a team this big in high school in a while.
Yeah, we're lucky to have a couple big high-end guys. On the offensive line, Martez Lewis, our left tackle, is committed to Minnesota. He's 6'7", 330. And then on the defensive line, Kenneth Grant, coaching staff has done a really good job of developing those guys. In the game of football, you got to be able to run it, especially when the weather's bad or you're trying to, preserve a win. So having that size up front is definitely good for us.
You put 40-plus points on the board against Andrian last week. The funny thing about it is you guys are doing a two-quarterback offense, and it just seems you don't skip a beat no matter which quarterback is in there.
We've got two really good ones that can help us win games. They were both really productive. When you look at the position last week, we threw for 240 yards. We ran for, about 120, and they accounted for 6 touchdowns. So the production from both of them was really good.
And how important is it for future opponents that they can't key on one guy and stop the Pirates?
Obviously, there's certain things we do with each one. The fact that, last year Peter was exclusively a runner. He threw it more on Friday night. I think makes us be a little more balanced with our attack and maybe not so dependent, as far as having tendencies and things like that. Peter's improved his throwing and Eric has improved his athleticism. In the Lowell scrimmage, Eric had quite a few long runs and did a good job. So, they complement each other really well.
I pick up the newspaper on Saturday morning. It says Merrillville beats Hobart. How'd you get it done?
For us to beat Hobart, we've got to do a great job offensively of picking up some of their stunts and blitzes that they do. They're really aggressive, with their defense. So, when we're throwing, they're going to bring a lot of guys at us and blitz and do some of those things. If we can pick that up, we're going to give some of our playmakers opportunities. Defensively, I think the big thing for us is not to allow big plays. We have some pretty big physical guys up front that I think is an advantage for us. So, for them to sustain drives, I think will be difficult. So we just can't allow big plays in the passing game and the running game.
Introducing David. The Hobart Brickies are hoping they learn lessons from last week's loss against Chesterton and are focusing on an upset win comparable to what the original underdog did against his bigger opponent. Coach, you got off to a great start against Chesterton last week. What happened afterwards? Because you had the 7-0 lead, and then what happened.
Yeah, we got off to a good start on offense, and we kind of petered out a little bit. You could tell on film as we watched the film review, we just kind of got mentally worn out. We just got tired, kind of got worn out. So we made a lot of mistakes, a lot of new mistakes that new players would make, but we did some nice things. So we have some growth from the film and then that game. But the biggest thing is how we're going to bounce back this week.
And this week is a toughie. Merrillville really running on all cylinders. You know what they did last week to Andrian. You're David. They're Goliath. What's your slingshot?
Well, I think that, the thing that we preach to our kids is that no one expects us to win. We're a 29-point underdog, and, when you go into that, you kind of go in there and you kind of use that as some motivation for the kids. Most teams we play are going to be bigger than us. We try to use our, movement and some of the things that we do to our advantage against some bigger teams. But if you play your best football, you got a chance to win.
Let's take a look at you defensively. What guy stepped up for you against Chesterton last week?
Well, I think that you look at Bobby Babcock had a big game. He had 4 sacks for us, 6 tackles, 1 for loss, and a forced fumble. So he had a big game. You look at Zach Vogt and Riley Johnson. It's the first time they've really kind of gone both ways for us as safeties. So you're hoping for improvement there. Again, seeing growth with those guys and watching them mature and seeing them get better every week.
How do you game plan against a team that uses 2 quarterbacks and both quarterbacks are pretty effective?
I think you game plan, you look at what their strengths are. You kind of try to find the tendencies that one quarterback has over the other, and then you game plan towards that. Our mindset is we're going to run our defense. We're going to run our offense. If we execute and we block and we tackle well, we're going to put ourselves in a position to win.
The Merrillville Pirates are a big, strong, fast football team. Hobart, on the other hand, tough, and they know they're going to have to bring their A game. The question is, can Hobart stop the speed and power of the Merrillville Pirates? Joe and Wayne, who you got?
Well, this was a great rivalry, probably when Coach Osika was in school or even before that.
Hey, he looks like he can still play.
He definitely does. He definitely does, no doubt. Obviously, Merrillville a big favorite here, Wayne, on a Friday night. But, as Hobart moves along into their conference season, I think this is another important way to measure their improvement from week 1 to week 2.
Yeah, I really agree. It's a situation where now Hobart did play Chesterton at Duneland Conference School,
Yes.
Last week, and really played well in the first half against them. They're going to have to put 2 halves together, though,
Yeah.
to be able to stay with Maryville. If they can contain, this is a big if, Whitehead's passing, Rodriguez running the ball, I think that they can be in the game. But this is going to be a tough one for them.
We watched the tape. It's not just Martell Lewis.
Right.
I mean, the other 4 guys are pretty big too.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, he's 330, yeah, but I mean, the other guys aren't 190.
No, that's right.
All right, so there's the pick. Let's see who you like tomorrow.
I like Maryville over Hobart
Yeah.
in this one. They're at home, and they're coming off a very, very good game this last week against a big rival Andrean.
Right.
So that has
All
to
right.
bode well.
All right, how about the rest of the picks? They're coming up on Wayne's World. 16-8 a week ago. Out of the
Yep.
gate, a little slow as usual.
That's
it's
for
tough.
sure.
It's tough the first couple weeks.
Sagarin doesn't know anything early this season.
No, they don't. It takes about 3 weeks to figure it out. All right, let's go to the board, see who Wayne likes for this week. Valpo a big favorite.
Yeah, over Griffith and Crown Point. They're at home.
I think that's a barometer game for both of those teams.
Yes, I agree. Highland's coming in off a victory, so they got to be, pretty happy with that. And Low over Portage. It's at Portage, but I think the way Low played last week,
Yep.
they're gonna
Some
be
of those passes are on the tape now.
That's
And We'll
right.
see if Portage is going to need to score some points.
Yes,
So against a Lowell defense that lost a ton of guys.
That's right.
So, all right. Here's my Christmas present that came early.
Laporte
I don't know,
and
though.
Penn, and it's at Penn.
No, Laporte might be getting better a week here, a week there. We don't know.
Let's hope. I don't know if I was sleeping on that one.
Believe
or
me,
not.
I'm rooting for the Slicers, but we'll see who I
So am
pick
I.
as a red check mark.
Lake Central played well against
Yes, they did.
Munster.
Yes, they
very
did.
well. Griesbaum really did a nice job in the
They
backfield.
got some inexperience that could
Yes.
get better as the season
That's
goes
right.
on as well.
And Morton needs to fill their quarterback spot. Chesterton against Munster, and I think that Chesterton showed last week they're at home now, and they can come back from behind. I think Chesterton's going to win this.
All right, they forgot. There we go. I like Penn, unfortunately, to win this game, but I'm rooting for the Slicers, no doubt. about it.
This was a tough pick. I don't know if I was just waking up or what I picked this.
There you go. I think it was your hatred of Penn that was just coming
That's
through.
right.
Which, I can respect that. Elsewhere,
I like Michigan City over Warsaw. I know Warsaw is coming in with a decent team, but Michigan City has so many weapons. I'll tell you, Bradford had a good game, the quarterback for them. Hurt on defense, had a great game. So I like Michigan City and what they have
Okay.
offensively.
how will Andrean rebound?
Yes, that's a big thing. That's a big thing. Maryville cannot, put too much stock in that first game against Andrean. Andrean is coming in with no, experienced quarterback.
Right.
They had some talent, but Maryville really shut the Flesher and people down.
Walsh running back.
Yes.
Noah Hamilton was the transfer from Lake Central, a quarterback.
Right.
But you like Andrean over Hanover.
Yeah, I do. I like, they're traveling to Hanover. Freeling is a good quarterback, but I think Andrean's defense might be too quick.
KV was impressive in defeat.
They really were. Rensselaer had to struggle to win that particular game last week. I know Wheeler had a nice victory. They had a shutout last week. But I think KV's offense and defensive line, is really big. Chuck DeMoss was saying they had a lot of girth up on the lines and stuff. So I think that could be a telling factor.
All right, you like Boone Grove over River?
The van was moving last week, I'll tell you. Calumet and Mount Carmel, I don't know. All I know about Mount Carmel is they have an outstanding program. They have
Right.
an outstanding program. So I'm going to go with them. I mean, with them. And then South Central over Culver.
South Central scored a lot late after falling
Yes.
behind. We'll see
Yes.
how they play against Culver. You like EC over Bowman.
Right, Bowman, Calumet surprised me on the way they beat up on Bowman. And I think EC has some offensive talent. I like West Side over Indianapolis Crispus Attucks. And I like Clark to come back. I like the way they played against Whiting.
Yeah, I mean, Clark was impressive against Whiting. We'll see how they carry over. They could be favored against Lake Station here Friday night, so we'll see how impressive they are against them.
Knox played very well last week, and Winnemac struggled. Judson have a nice victory.
Right.
And I like North Newton. They played
Really?
well last week. Yes.
That kind of shocked me.
Yeah,
Might have shocked me to the extent where I picked Princeton.
you did. It's at North Newton, so,
Okay. We'll see. That could be a close game.
Yeah, I think so.
I think Chuck could
North
be calling
Newton
it
has
from there,
their star running back, Colin Wagner, back.
Yes, they
So
do.
he's
yes.
a senior. He is
yes.
good.
He's a big dude.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Elsewhere.
I like West Central had a nice victory last week over South Newton. And I like Knox over Rochester.
Knox with an impressive win on opening week of the football season, and they got a game at Rochester. The check mark was 2-0 out of the gate. Wayne 16-8 out of the gate. So that's big. We'll see how that continues. He
Yes.
even threw me a bone tonight. So we'll see. Don't forget, tune in tomorrow night, 6 o'clock for Lakeshore Game Night on 89.1 and 10:30 live PFR Scoreboard right here on Lakeshore PBS.
From the perfect flip to the perfect pass, we power Northern Indiana so you can do what moves you.